Okay. I am so grateful for all of the feedback that I've gotten around the last vlog I shared. And I love this index card structure that I created for myself because I think it helps me shift my focus with this space around talking about my story and the narrative behind different experiences, and instead the takeaways and ideally maybe lessons that are valuable to others. One of the biggest things that I want to celebrate is that on this channel, I have hit over 50 subscribers. I love that. I feel like it's people that I wouldn't otherwise maybe have connected with. I've had 44,000 views across this channel. I even did a little calculation. Even if 75% of those views are maybe toxic people wanting to criticize me, even if 75% of those views are in that lens, that still leaves 11,000 views. I'm proud of that. I'm really proud of that. I think one of the biggest things that I want to share, this vlog has been such a space of healing for me. And I think part of that is because when I'm able to watch a video I record back, whether it's from last year or just even more recently, I hear it almost from a different lens. And that totally happened last week. In the last vlog, I ended on a question: how do I learn how to forgive? And one of those has been my religious trauma and being raised as a Jehovah's Witness and how that's impacted my life. Even though I've been out of the out of the religion longer than I was even a part of the religion. I've now had more time outside of it, and I've had all of my cognitive functions as an adult versus being a small child raised in this belief system. Even with that being the case, and being someone who's done a lot of personal development work, entrepreneurship, I think, is a total catalyst towards personal development. And yet still I had felt overwhelmed by the idea of forgiveness. And so sure enough, right on point, last week, I had a major opportunity to forgive. And it was such a catalyst for now this conversation, because I know for myself, I've projected forgiveness external. Like, how do I forgive them? Let's just use the religious cult as an example. They've wronged me in some way from my perspective, my opinion, and now I have to forgive. There's so much room for growth in that perspective. Last week, I messed up. I totally messed up. I had a very important date on my calendar, and I had, in every other which way, crossed my T's and dotted my I's to prepare for this very important thing. And I somehow marked off my work calendar, my personal calendar, and my shared calendar with my host here, my friend. All the calendars were wrong. I put all the information on the wrong date across my calendars. And unfortunately, it wasn't the wrong date in advance, it was the wrong date after the event. And so I missed the obligation, and I went into such a shame spiral. I really haven't had like that deep of a difficult inner dialogue experience in a while. It rocked me. I felt like a big fat failure. I felt like, how can I trust myself? All of my focus for the last year has been around rebuilding trust in myself, from like the tiniest things to even really, really big things. And this was a big thing. This was a pretty substantial thing. I just collapsed under this failure. I felt like, if I can't do this one thing right, put this on my calendar correctly, how can I run a business? How can I be somebody that my friends can trust? How can I be somebody who could show up for other obligations if I can't even get this right? It was like something hijacked my brain, and I just felt like I was incapable of basically anything. And I sat in that space for 2 days, I think, really deeply in that space. And I thankfully have really good friends and really great support around me in different capacities. And one of my friends sent me the most beautiful message around being a human and acknowledging we're imperfect, we make mistakes. And so I really decided to like buckle down into healing this part of me that felt so much shame and so much disappointment in myself. That part of me really needed some forgiveness, really needed some compassion and some understanding and loving kindness. And I, instead of, I mean, my first reaction, and actually my friend and I joked about it because we both had important things on this one particular day. And so when she had gotten home, she was like, man, I could really use some wine. And I haven't been drinking. I stopped drinking in October, which is just insane. But honest to God, on that day, I really was like, I might I might just want a bottle of wine, because it felt like just this collapse of just, how do I escape this? How do I get out of feeling this low? And I didn't do it. I sat in the low. I sat in the feeling. I went to a sound bath, and I really just gave myself permission to forgive myself for the error. And it was such an eye opener, because that created a domino around recognizing that if we do not give something to ourselves first, we can never give it to someone else or something else. It's not possible. I was not able to forgive this, high control religious group that I have definitely found fault with in some way. I feel strongly about my beliefs that go against this belief system. I believe this to be wrong in support of love and humanity. And the way I feel strongly, we as a whole are evolving. How do I let that exist and also find space for forgiveness around my experience being raised in this religion? And in the practice of having to forgive myself for this error, this mistake, I started to recognize how we can't forgive when we're holding on to spaces that we're not able to forgive ourselves around. And that like just totally helped me recognize in every single area of my life that I've held on to anger, disappointment, resentment, frustration, pain. There are degrees, there's a spectrum of forgiveness I need to give myself to be able to move into forgiving whatever the external experience of that might look like. And this is everything. This is people, chapters of life, professional, personal. There's really no area I've found for myself that this doesn't apply to. And so I really sat in that, especially on Valentine's Day, and I leaned into the intention of self-compassion and giving love to myself first, because same thing, I feel like Valentine's Day is such a external validation holiday. That's the commercialization of it. Who has shown you love externally today? Being able to instead take ownership and responsibility of that for ourselves and say, okay, I can give that to myself. And not only can I, but it is basically a prerequisite for me to be able to give that to someone else or receive that from someone else, external, someone, something. I think that all of our relationships, all of our experiences are in some way mirrors to our own ability to grow. And sometimes we reflect light and love and beauty, and sometimes we reflect shame and frustration and anger. And that is all based on what we are internally experiencing. If we are all mirrors and we're reflecting out just this grimy reflection, how do we clean the mirror so that then we're able to reflect the love that we intend? And that kept coming back to me. We can clean the mirror. That's the only control we actually have, is making sure that our mirror, our lens, our projections are clear and clean and of the intent that we want them to be. I don't want to be out in the world projecting fear. I don't want to be out feeling frustrated and disappointed and angry. I want to show forgiveness all the time. And I want to start by showing forgiveness to myself, because then I can forgive anybody or anything else in the same capacity that I'm able to do that for myself. And so that analogy played through for me all day, all weekend, really. I was with a group of women and I was talking about my divorce. And I thought about how, even in that sense, I feel so much forgiveness. I feel very content with that relationship. I feel grateful and appreciative of my ex, the time that we had together, the experiences we shared. I feel like I have fully forgiven him. And I do believe that is because I've fully forgiven myself. And I think maybe some residual little pieces, little specks of self-forgiveness that come up for me around that, I am able to recognize this is still coming from a wounding of not forgiving myself for this version of me in that relationship. I am not that same person. In the process of getting divorced in 2018 all the way through the pandemic and then career shifts and moving and financial challenge, now who I am today, being able to look back at who I was in that relationship and forgive myself for the ways that I was not a good partner. I was not aware of any of the trauma I was carrying around, big T, little t trauma. I had a ton of it. I had a ton of it in that relationship without any self-awareness. I feel so grateful for that catalyst that my divorce was to be able to put me on this trajectory of healing this stuff, because I don't want to go through another divorce. I'm able to really find peace in that experience. And I hope I can continue to do that where I feel I've been wronged. There is validity to the emotion of feeling like someone or something else has caused me harm. There needs to be boundaries established, even in the experiences that are some of the most difficult for me to find forgiveness and understanding for. I am recognizing that it was still, at the end of the day, my responsibility to establish a boundary at some point, and I wasn't able to do that. And not shame myself for it, not go into a spiral about being a total failure because I wasn't able to do something correctly. That is the humanity part of this experience, to recognize where I can still find growth for myself. In the past, I've found opportunity for learning through failure. I don't want to own that anymore. That's not the way I intend to learn. However, when I look back at my life, my learning style tends to be by experience. I have to taste it, touch it, feel it to be able to take the lesson. I am hoping that through my own process of evolution, I'm getting further away from that, and I'm able to tap into some of the wisdom I've gained from past experiences to not repeat the lessons. I feel pretty good about my ability to be like, you know what, we're not going to do another time is this. That hasn't always been the case. I have definitely sometimes had to go at the same problem 16 different ways before I'm able to actually say, you know, maybe we just leave that one alone. Maybe we move forward in a different direction. Being able to give ourselves compassion and forgiveness helps us to then give that to other people, because we're all just doing our best. We're all doing our best. And I think even the people who I still have not yet been able to find forgiveness for, I am clearly recognizing how that's showing me the spaces in which I need to give myself forgiveness. I need to give myself compassion and permission to make mistakes without holding myself to this level of perfectionism that's not going to be attainable. That's been a really big shift for me personally, because I can see that now ripple into connections and conversations and a softer approach to navigating hard things. It doesn't take away the sting. It doesn't mean that then that person or that group or that experience has access to me. It doesn't mean that I am a doormat and I allow whatever happens to happen because I'm just so embodied in love and light and forgiveness that however many times you hurt me or cause me pain, I just forgive and forgive and forgive. There is a balance, a harmony between discernment and vulnerability. That is the space I want to find myself in consistently. Being vulnerable with people and spaces that are safe, and having the discernment to know when that is not available. The cohesive space between both things is really where I am seeing a path for myself. I definitely see moments where I think my discernment is aggressive and it could use a bit more vulnerability. And I also see moments where I've allowed myself to be vulnerable and it's caused me a little bit of pain because my discernment wasn't established, or I had turned it down because of belonging or love or attachment or something external. And I think being able to kind of find that in a more consistent way is such a focus for me. So I'm going to leave it there. My intent with this is to heal for myself and then to ripple my healing out into the people I care about, I love. And if along the way 11,000, 20,000, 40,000, however thousand other people have any touch point to my experiences and my own healing journey, and it creates inspiration or support around their own process of rebuilding their life or taking a look at patterns and conditioning and belief systems that don't serve them anymore. Like, I'm so proud of that. I'm so proud of that. And I'm really appreciative to the people who are encouraging me to keep going this way, to keep sharing, to keep showing up, whether I'm crying, whether my hair's done, my makeup's done, however I am, just showing up in this way and trusting that this continues to grow in the ways that it is of the most support to me and to the people who experience me this way. That's my intention. And it's really exciting and inspiring to see that start to happen in a tangible way. Yeah, I'm really proud of myself through this space. So thanks for being a part of it.